Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something straight. There are some situations in life that look like they're about one thing, but when you scratch the surface, you realize it's a whole lot bigger than what you thought. You think you're just dealing with a small fire in the kitchen, and then you find out the whole house is wired wrong, the gas is leaking, and the neighbor's been sitting on fireworks. That's when you stop and say, oh no, this ain't what I thought I was walking into. This is deeper, darker, and far more dangerous than anybody imagined. That's the kind of trouble I'm talking about today. Because when you underestimate a situation, when you play it off like it's just noise, that's when it rises up and swallows you whole. Now here's the thing, trouble never shows up by itself. Trouble don't walk in politely, knock on the door, and ask permission to come inside. No, trouble sneaks in. Trouble crawls in when you're distracted, when you're busy patting yourself on the back, when you think you got it all under control. And then one day, boom, it exposes itself. And you realize you ain't just got trouble, you're knee deep in it, waist deep in it, drowning in it. That's when people start panicking. That's when people start pointing fingers. That's when people start blaming everybody else. But the truth is the warning signs were always there. The cracks in the wall were showing. The leaks were dripping. But pride made folks ignore it. I'm telling you right now, there's a danger in arrogance. There's a danger in thinking you're untouchable, that the rules don't apply to you. That power is permanent. Power is never permanent. Power is borrowed. Respect is rented. And both got expiration dates stamped on them. The ones who fall the hardest are the ones who thought they'd never fall at all. And that's exactly the kind of trouble we're talking about here. See, people like to believe their position will protect them. They think, I got the money, I got the influence, I got the connections, I got the people behind me. But let me tell you something. None of that matters when truth comes calling. None of that matters when accountability knocks on your door. Because power may give you a shield for a season, but truth is sharper than any sword. And when it slices through, you realize all that armor was paper thin. That's why this situation, this mess, this trouble is bigger than anybody thought. And you want to know what really makes it deep? It's not just the enemies outside. It's the betrayal inside. You can handle opposition when it's across the street, but you can't handle it when it's sitting at your table, eating your food, smiling in your face. That's when the real collapse begins. And that's exactly why so many powerful men end up cornered. Because the fight they prepared for ain't the fight that takes them down. It's always the punch they didn't see coming. Now let me talk to you plain. Trouble has levels. You got the kind of trouble you can fix with a phone call. That's the easy stuff. You messed up, you explain, you smooth it over, you buy yourself some time. Then you got the kind of trouble that takes planning, takes strategy, takes resources. That's the kind you can wrestle with and still survive. But then there's the deepest kind of trouble, the kind where every move you make digs you deeper, where every word you say exposes another crack, where every ally you thought you had suddenly backs away. That's the kind of trouble where you realize you ain't just fighting to win, you're fighting to breathe. That's where this situation is right now. And the scary part, most folks still don't even realize how deep it goes. People love to talk about strength, about image, about how unshakable somebody looks on the outside. But let me tell you what really shows a man's condition, the silence in his room at night, when the lights are off, when the phone ain't ringing, when the crowd is gone. That's when fear creeps in. That's when doubts whisper louder than applause. That's when the walls close in. And you better believe, no matter how bold somebody looks in public, when the private moments come, the truth is harder to hide. You can fool the world, but you can't fool your own heart. And the deeper trouble, it ain't just the scandal, it ain't just the noise, it ain't just the headlines. The deeper trouble is when you lose control of the narrative. When you're no longer the one telling the story, when the story starts telling itself, and you're just a character in it. That's when you know you've lost ground. Because once people stop listening to your version and start believing what they see with their own eyes, the grip of power starts slipping. Let me break it down even further. Trouble isn't always punishment. It's often exposure. Exposure of what you hid, exposure of what you ignored, exposure of what you thought nobody would ever find out. Trouble is like light, it don't lie. It shines on the very thing you tried to bury. And when that light comes, no amount of excuses, no amount of shouting, no amount of blaming can cover it back up. That's why this trouble is so dangerous. It ain't just about mistakes, it's about exposure. And here's the bigger truth. Every empire that ever fell didn't collapse because the walls weren't high enough or the army wasn't strong enough. No empires fall from within. Greed eats them alive. Lies weaken the foundation. Betrayal cracks the stones. And when the outside enemy finally attacks, the empire was already rotten. That's why it crumbles so fast. What you're seeing here isn't just one man in trouble. It's a system shaking. It's the cracks spreading. It's the storm coming. And when storms come, they don't just wash away the weak. They test the strong too. Let me tell you something else. Respect don't work the way fear does. Fear makes people obey while you're standing there. But the second you stumble, fear evaporates. Respect, on the other hand, lasts beyond your presence. Respect defends you when you ain't in the room. Respect speaks for you when your mouth is shut. And that's the part most leaders forget. They build on fear. They build on intimidation. They build on control. But when trouble shows up, they realize they never built on respect. And once people lose respect, it's over. That's why this trouble is deeper. It's not about losing power. It's about losing respect. I want you to catch this. Trouble has a way of flipping the script. Today, you're the one pointing the finger. Tomorrow, the finger's pointing at you. Today, you're writing the headlines. Tomorrow, the headlines are writing you. That's why humility matters. Because humility prepares you for both the mountain and the valley. Pride blinds you, humility grounds you. And when you lose humility, you walk blindfolded into a pit you dug for somebody else. The trouble we're talking about, it ain't temporary, it ain't surface level. It's deep because it challenges the very foundation of trust. And once trust is gone, it don't come back easy. You can buy loyalty, you can buy silence, but you can't buy trust. Trust is earned over time and lost in a moment, and that's the moment we're watching unfold. See, the real danger isn't what people know, it's what people are willing to believe. Perception is more powerful than reality. Once the crowd decides you're guilty, no courtroom, no speech, no defense can clean it up, and perception spreads faster than truth. That's why the trouble here runs so deep, because it's not just about facts. It's about belief. It's about the way people feel. And feelings shape futures far more than facts ever do. I'm telling you right now, the storm is bigger than anybody thought. The fire is hotter than anybody guessed. And the fall, when it comes, won't be gentle. It'll be a collapse. Because trouble has a way of dragging everything with it. It don't just take down the guilty. It shakes the bystanders. It burns the allies. It scars the innocent. And when the dust clears, people realize it was never just about one man, one mistake, one problem. It was about a whole structure that needed to be tested. So when I say deeper trouble than I anticipated, I mean this ain't a warning anymore. This is the reality. And reality don't care about excuses. It don't care about power. It don't care about titles. Reality comes for everybody sooner or later. And once it comes, all you can do is face it. The real downfall isn't losing power. It's losing trust that can never be rebuilt. Power comes and goes. It shifts hands. It changes shapes. It moves with time. You can be powerful today and powerless tomorrow. But trust, that's different. Once trust is broken, it's like shattered glass. You can try to glue it back together, but the cracks will always show. No matter how much you try to patch it up, the memory of betrayal lives on. And when a man, a leader, a nation, or even a family loses trust, that's when the real collapse begins. See, people think power is the prize. They fight for it, they lie for it, they manipulate for it. They believe if they can just get power, they can control everything. But power without trust is like a throne sitting in the middle of quicksand. It looks high, it looks mighty, but the ground beneath it is soft, sinking, unstable. And one wrong move, one exposed truth, one act of arrogance, and suddenly that throne is gone, swallowed up, leaving nothing behind but ruins. What holds everything together is not the image of strength, it's the invisible glue of trust. Trust makes people follow you when they don't have to. Trust makes people defend you when you're not in the room. Trust makes people stay loyal even when it's easier to walk away. Without trust, power is hollow. Without trust, words lose meaning. Without trust, even victories taste like defeat. That's why when trust is broken, the downfall isn't temporary, it's final. Now here's the mistake most powerful people make. They confuse obedience with trust. They see people nod and clap and obey, and they think, oh, they believe in me. They're with me. No, they're with what they think they can get from you. They're with the benefits, the rewards, the comfort of being close to power. That ain't trust, that's transaction. And the second the transaction ends, the loyalty ends. Trust, real trust goes deeper. It's not about what somebody can get from you. It's about who they believe you are when nobody's watching. Lose that and you lose everything. You want to know why trust is so hard to rebuild? Because people don't just remember what you did. They remember how you made them feel. If you break someone's trust, you didn't just make a mistake. You made them feel betrayed, made them feel foolish, made them feel like they wasted their belief on you. And that feeling doesn't leave. Even if they forgive you with their words, deep down, the memory stays. Every time you talk, every promise you make, they'll hear an echo. But last time you said the same thing. That's why broken trust hangs over you like a shadow. And trust ain't just about honesty, it's about consistency. Anybody can tell the truth once. Anybody can do the right thing once. But trust comes when people see you walk the same way over and over again. When you break that pattern, when your words no longer match your actions, people lose the anchor. And without that anchor, they drift away. That's why some leaders collapse overnight. It's not because they lost power. It's because they lost the one thing that made people hold them up: trust. Let's get real here. Every downfall in history, every collapse of great names and mighty empires came down to broken trust. Look at kings who taxed their people to death, thinking the throne would keep them safe. The people didn't rise up because they were weak. They rose because they no longer trusted the throne to protect them. Look at companies that lied to their workers or their customers. They had money, they had brand, they had influence. But once trust was gone, no advertisement, no apology, no spin could save them. Look at families torn apart. It's not the fights that destroy them, it's the betrayal that lingers. The same thing happens at every level. When trust goes, everything else follows. Now, here's what makes losing trust worse than losing power. Power can be regained. You can lose an election and win the next one. You can lose a job and get another one. You can lose influence and build it again. But trust, once it's cracked, it don't grow back the same. It's like a broken bone that heals crooked. You can still walk, but you'll limp forever. And people will always see that limp. They'll always remember the break. That's why the smartest people guard trust with their life. But the problem is, too many folks get addicted to the applause. They think as long as the crowd is cheering, they're safe. They think the crowd will cover their mistakes. They think popularity equals trust. But popularity is temporary, trust is permanent. A crowd will clap for you in the morning and laugh at you by nightfall. But trust, if you keep it, will stand with you when the crowd disappears. That's why the downfall is deeper when trust is broken. Because it ain't just about losing people's support. It's about losing their belief in you. And once that belief dies, resurrection is almost impossible. The dangerous part about broken trust is how fast it spreads. One story, one rumor, one exposed truth, and suddenly everybody questions everything you ever said. Even your good deeds start to look suspicious. Even your real sacrifices start to look fake. People start rewriting history in their minds saying, maybe he was never real. Maybe it was all a show. That's how powerful broken trust is. It makes people doubt even the moments that were genuine. And let me tell you something, it don't matter how high you are, how much wealth you stack, how much power you grip. If you ain't got trust, you're standing on sand. Because when trouble comes, and trouble always comes, people will scatter. They won't defend you, they won't protect you, they won't even remember the good you did. They'll distance themselves because they don't want to be associated with a broken name. That's what real downfall looks like. Not the moment you lose your position, but the moment people stop believing in you. See, trust is wealth. Trust is influence. Trust is power. Without trust, power is just an empty title, a hollow crown, a fragile throne. And the deeper trouble for any man, any leader, any system is not the enemies outside. It's the loss of trust inside. Because once trust is gone, you can't buy it back. You can't legislate it back. You can't command it back. It has to be earned, and sometimes the wound is too deep to heal. The truth is, broken trust don't just affect the person who lost it, it scars generations. A child whose parent broke trust grows up cautious. A citizen whose leader broke trust grows up cynical. A worker whose boss broke trust carries suspicion to every job. That's why it's so dangerous, because it multiplies pain. The damage ripples out far beyond the original moment. And when that happens on a large scale, it don't just end one career. It poisons a whole system. Here's the hard part most people don't want to admit. Trust doesn't just disappear in one big moment. It erodes slowly, silently. Every small lie, every broken promise, every excuse chips away at it. By the time the big scandal hits, trust was already gone. The downfall was already written. People just hadn't said it out loud yet. That's why the collapse always looks sudden from the outside, but from the inside, it's been dying for years. So when I say the real downfall isn't losing power, it's losing trust that can never be rebuilt. I mean exactly that. Because power can be seized, stolen, regained. But trust, once people decide you don't have it anymore, it's gone. And all the speeches, all the defenses, all the power plays in the world can't bring it back. That's why the deepest trouble anybody can ever face isn't losing their position. It's losing the people's faith.